My parents ruined my business by partnering with my rival cousin. Now they are begging me to help them rebuild their finances, after my cousin betrayed them and I laughed in their faces. I'm 31, male, and I'm the type who always figured family was supposed to have your back. I don't come from money or anything like that, but I believed in loyalty, especially when it came to my parents. I thought they'd always be there, rooting for me. But if you'd told me a few years ago that they'd throw everything I built down the drain by teaming up with my snake of a cousin, who I've hated since we were kids, I would have laughed in your face. Now I'm the one laughing. Here's what happened. I busted my ass to get where I am. Growing up, my parents weren't poor, but we sure weren't comfortable. Every dollar mattered. My old man used to preach about hard work and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I took it seriously. By the time I was 25, I'd scraped together enough money from working crap jobs and long hours to start my own auto repair shop. It was nothing fancy, just a small garage with a couple of bays. But I knew cars, and I knew I could make it work. And it did work. I put in the grind. 16-hour days, working weekends, picking up whatever jobs came my way. Slowly, I built a solid reputation. By the time I hit 30, I had steady customers, a decent crew, and my shop was finally turning a good profit. It wasn't just about the money, though. It was the fact that I'd done it. I'd taken nothing and built something. Something that was mine. Then came T. My cousin. My rival, really. He's the same age as me, but he's always been full of shit. Slick talker, always had some half-baked business idea, always tried to look like the big shot, but nothing ever worked out for him. He had this way of making everyone else clean up his messes. We weren't close, but he was family, so I put up with him at the usual holiday stuff. About a year ago, my parents sit me down. We've got big news, my mom says, all excited. They tell me they're going into business, partnering with T to start a new chain of auto shops, an expansion on what I was doing. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. But it wasn't a joke. They were dead serious. I remember asking, "You're doing what?" I couldn't believe it. They'd never invested in me like that. I built my business on my own with nothing but my own damn hands, and here they were, backing him. My mom's face was all hopeful, like she was expecting me to be thrilled. My dad just crossed his arms and said, "He's got a new vision. He's thinking bigger. We think he can really take this thing to the next level." Next level? The guy couldn't take anything to the first level without screwing it up. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I'd busted my ass, and they were throwing their support behind him. I didn't lose it right away. I stood up, said good luck with that, and walked out. But man, inside, I was done. Completely done. See, I knew what was going to happen. T's plans always sounded good on paper. Big promises, fancy talk, but they never worked. The difference this time? My parents had sunk everything they had into his bullshit. Their savings, their retirement. I heard them talking about it later through family gossip. It made me sick to my stomach. They were betting their entire future on him. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. For a while, T's shop looked like it was doing okay. He opened one a few miles from mine, started pulling in some of my customers by undercutting my prices. Cheap rates, quick turnarounds. But I knew what was coming. I started hearing the stories. Customers were pissed. Cars weren't getting fixed right. Things were breaking down worse than before. T wasn't showing up at his own shop half the time, and when he did, he didn't have a clue what he was doing. It was a disaster waiting to happen. Then, the money started drying up. T was bleeding the business dry, and my parents were going down with him. I didn't care. I'd warned them, hadn't I? I told them he was a screw-up, but they didn't listen. So when the whole thing finally collapsed, I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me? The day they walked into my shop, looking like hell warmed over, asking for help. I was in the middle of replacing an engine when they came in. My mom looked like she hadn't slept in days, and my dad wouldn't even make eye contact. They were desperate, begging me to help them. I took off my gloves, wiped my hands on a rag, and just stared at them. Part of me wanted to laugh right in their faces. Hell, I almost did. "You've got to be kidding me," I said, leaning against the workbench. "After everything? After you screwed me over to back him?" "We didn't know it would turn out like this," my mom said, her voice cracking. "We thought." "You thought what?" I cut her off. You thought T was some kind of genius? You thought he'd succeed where I wouldn't? My dad finally spoke up, and his voice was shaking. We made a mistake, all right? We were just trying to secure our future. You mean you bet everything on a loser, I shot back, and now you're expecting me to clean up your mess? My mom started crying, and my dad just stood there, defeated. We're at risk of losing everything, my mom whispered, like I didn't already know. The house, our savings, please. We need your help. I crossed my arms. You made your bed. I don't think I've ever seen someone break down as fast as my mom did at that moment. She was sobbing, begging. I turned to my dad. What about you? You've got something to say? Or are you just going to let her grovel for you? He just shook his head. We didn't think this would happen. We thought T had it figured out. Yeah? Well, maybe you should have backed the kid who actually worked for it instead of the one who talked a good game. I could see it in their faces. They knew they'd messed up, but they were too far in to admit it. They wanted me to forgive and forget, swoop in and save the day. But I wasn't playing that role anymore. I walked over to the door, opened it, and said, I can't help you. You're on your own. My mom was still crying, but my dad grabbed her arm and started leading her out. Before they reached the door, though, my dad turned and looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. We're still your parents. You owe us. I didn't even flinch. No, I don't. They left, and for the first time in months, I felt free. Or at least I thought I did. Until my mom showed up at my house a week later. She wasn't crying this time. No. This time she came with a plan. She wanted me to let my dad work at my shop full time. Said it was the least I could do after everything they'd done for me. When I laughed in her face, she dropped the bombshell. If you don't help us, we'll sue you. Your father helped build that shop. He worked there too. We're entitled to something. I stared at her, not believing the words coming out of her mouth. They were threatening me now? My own parents, after everything, were coming at me with that? You're not entitled to shit, I said, my voice low and hard. Dad worked for a paycheck, same as anyone else. He didn't build my business, I did. She didn't back down. We'll take it to court if we have to. We don't want to, but you're leaving us no choice. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Go ahead. Take your best shot. I slammed the door in her face. I wasn't about to let them guilt me into giving them a damn thing. That should have been the end of it. But of course, T wasn't done. A couple of weeks after that, I woke up to find my shop vandalized. Windows busted, some equipment thrown around. Nothing stolen, just wrecked. I knew exactly who was behind it. There was no doubt in my mind it was T, trying to scare me, to make me pay for not playing along with his twisted little game. I let it slide. I figured it wasn't worth chasing him down for. But when the cops showed up at my door not long after, telling me there'd been an anonymous tip about illegal activity at my shop, I knew I couldn't just sit back anymore. T was escalating, and he wasn't going to stop until I put him in his place. So I confronted him. I didn't wait for him to come to me this time. I found him at a bar, sitting there with a drink in his hand, like he didn't have a care in the world. I walked right up to him, sat down across from him, and said, You think you can mess with me and get away with it? He didn't even look surprised. Just took a long sip of his beer, leaned back and smirked like he'd won something. That smug look he always had, like the whole world owed him something just because he was alive. What the hell are you talking about? He asked, voice dripping with fake innocence. I wasn't in the mood for his games. The vandalism, the cops showing up at my shop, that was you. Don't bother denying it. I know your style. He laughed, a low, mocking laugh that made me want to knock him off his damn stool. You think too highly of yourself, man. Why would I waste my time on you? I've got bigger things to worry about. I leaned in closer, keeping my voice low. I'm done playing nice. You're finished. You've burned every bridge, and now you're coming after me because you've got nothing left. But I'm telling you right now, you come at me again, and I'll make sure you regret it. His smirk faltered for just a second. He knew I was serious. But then, like the idiot he is, he shrugged it off. You can't touch me. We're family, remember? I slammed my hand on the table, making the drinks shake. Family? You screwed over your own aunt and uncle. You've never been family. You're a parasite, and everyone knows it. He flinched at that. Good. He was trying to hide it, but I could see the cracks. He was desperate. He thought he could scare me into backing off, but he had no idea how done I was with him and his bullshit. "All right, tough guy," he said, leaning in, his voice full of venom. "What are you gonna do, huh? You think you're some big shot now? You think you can just walk in here and threaten me?" I stared him down, not blinking. "You're not worth threatening, T. But I'll make it real simple for you. You stay the hell out of my life. You leave my shop alone. You leave my parents out of this mess you dragged them into, and you disappear. Because if you don't, I'll make sure you never do business in this town, or anywhere else again. You won't be able to con anyone, not after I'm done with you." His eyes narrowed. "You think you can ruin me? I'm already ruined. I've got nothing to lose." I stood up, towering over him. "Exactly, and that's why you should be afraid." He glared at me, but I could tell he wasn't going to push it any further. He was scared. He'd never admit it, but I could see it in his eyes. He knew he was done, even if he didn't want to believe it yet. I walked out without another word, leaving him there with his drink stewing in his failure. After that, things finally started to settle down. He didn't come near my shop again, and my parents? They stopped calling, stopped showing up at my door. I think they finally realized I wasn't their safety net anymore. They made their bed, and now they were lying in it, just like I told them. I heard through the grapevine that T left town not long after that, packed up whatever he had left, and bailed. Good riddance. I don't know where he went, and I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, he's out of my life for good. And my parents? Well, they're still struggling. I hear about it, sometimes from relatives, how they're trying to pick up the pieces after the whole disaster with T. They still haven't apologized, not really. But I think they know they crossed a line they can't come back from. We don't talk much anymore. I'm okay with that. Look, maybe I sound like an asshole for turning my back on them. But after everything they put me through, I had to choose myself. I spent years trying to win their approval, trying to make them see that I wasn't the screw-up they thought I was. And all it got me was stabbed in the back. Sometimes, you've got to cut people loose, even if they're family. Blood doesn't mean you owe anyone anything, especially when they've done nothing but take from you. I'm finally doing what I should have done years ago, taking care of myself, my shop, my future. And you know what? It feels damn good. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. My business is thriving, I'm building something real, and I've got peace of mind. No more drama, no more leeches. Just me and the people who actually give a damn. And if you made it this far, hit subscribe. Stick around for more stories of how to handle life when the people closest to you try to screw you over. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.